All right, Patrick, I don't know how much of a connoisseur of ESPN's Football Power Index you are. The Football Power Index.
Now, what are we talking NFL or
Well, they do have it for college, but I'm currently on the NFL page right now, and even though the Bills lost, they do have the Bills as the number one team in the NFL. If they had gotten an extra half yard last night, they'd be 5-1. They have the Vikings after a hard-fought road victory, up 5 spots from 15 to the 10th best team in the NFL. Your thoughts?
I don't argue with that. I'd have to look and see who's behind them. I think we have a rather balanced situation, though, in the NFL now that the Chiefs are just kind of ordinary with a great quarterback. And where do they have the Chiefs? About 5 or 6?
Wow, look at you. You're a football power. You must frequent the Football Power Index. They've got the Chiefs 5th right now. I'll give you that. So it's Bills, Buccaneers, Rams, Cardinals, Chiefs, Ravens are 6, Cowboys 7. They got the Saints at 8, Packers at 9, Vikings at 10.
I got to say that they're a little underrating the Cowboys. I think that is a very explosive offense and a competent defense now. And right now I heard somebody, ESPN guy or somebody, pick the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl in August or early September, and I thought he was nuts. But watching that offense, and Dak is probably the MVP right now. And, I would have them as my NFC favorites at the moment. And after that, who can't the Vikings beat if they play good? I mean, if they use their talent, the Rams, okay, they're okay. But, I mean, the schedule looks tough coming out of the break for sure. But if you win one of those, then it's clear sailing, right? If you're 4-5, it's, you got 8 left and you should win 7 of them. I think, or at least 6 of them, don't you? But they got nobody left. They haven't played the Bears yet. That's 2-0. They've got one left with the Lions. That's 3-0.
You're assuming a lot of things about Zim and his team that they can do, though. The Bears, they've never played the Bears consistently well in 2 games per year in years now.
Yeah, but they lost to some distinguished quarterbacks in those games, didn't they? They lost to about 4 quarterbacks who never won another game. Chad Hutchinson, remember that? Wasn't it Chad Hutchinson they lost to one game? And yeah, but I don't know. I think they have talent. I wouldn't say 10 is overrated. As I continued to be mystified how you ended up in overtime on Sunday.
Yes, but that's the thing. Like you look at these. You look at these 6 games, and like while you're watching the games, you're thinking, how are they? They're about to lose to the Lions. And then it's and how did you put up almost 600 yards against the Panthers, who just gave the game back to you, and you wind up in overtime? So like in each of the games, you're wondering, what is this team doing? Yeah. But if they don't miss a field goal from 37 yards against the Cardinals, they're 4-2 with a couple really good road wins. So it's a weird team.
I said to Judd yesterday, though, and that when you watch Zim on the sidelines, he knows his job is in jeopardy. He is amped. I mean, he's always anxious. He's always amped up, but there's a different level of, I don't want to use paranoia, but I don't know a better word. There's something going on over there with him, because he's like, his head appears that it's ready to explode about half the time. I think he's feeling the pressure bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think he is, because he knows that if they don't make the playoffs, somebody's going to get fired, and it's not going to be Spielman, because he'll be in there knifing him in the back the last month of the season and making sure he keeps his job. So Spielman's a survivor more than Zim is, I think.
So here's the best thing about this entire league that drives you crazy. So Matt Rule, the Panthers coach, comes out in his press conference Monday and says, after what we saw, we are going to be dedicated to running the football now. If the Carolina Panthers had called me last Thursday and said, should we run or pass against the Vikings? You know what I would have said? I'd run the ball against the Vikings. They're having a ton of success. I love how in football you overthink things until you simplify things after the fact.
Well, I also love the fact that you tell your opponents what you're going to do.
That's another good one.
Hell?
It makes no sense.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not just keep that to yourself? You know,
it's like the Moss ratio, the Randy ratio.
I love the Randy ratio.
Get Ticey fired. Yeah, so what happened? So Moss only catches 3 passes. What happened to your man Randy ratio? You give people talking points. That's not.
It is funny. So you've hit on too, like the Vikings were disciplined enough. Like they told everyone, "Hey, we're doing some self scouting here a week earlier than usual, but we aren't going to tell you what we're going to change because that would give it away to the opponents." And the Panthers are like, "We're going to run the ball. This guy sucks.
We should run the ball. That's what drives you crazy."
Well, I suppose one problem is that when they think that is that their quarterback's a better runner than he is a passer, Scott Darnold. Yep. So. That could be part of it. They just aren't very good. How they got to be 3-0, I don't know. But well, hey, I think what we should be talking about this week, though, is the new offensive line with the rookie at left tackle.
Yeah.
And their offensive line was better this year anyway. And now this kid's hurt. He's had 2 surgeries. And they still can't wait to get him into the lineup. So they must really see something in this guy. And he slipped down the draft board for, I mean, and I'm not just the Vikings saying that, because I actually was in the car when the draft was going on, listening to the ESPN guys. And they always, I can't figure out why this guy hasn't been picked. And then who was it they thought, like 2 spots ahead of the Vikings, was 100% going to pick him, and then they didn't. I can't remember, some team that desperately needed an offensive line, Washington or somebody, and didn't take him. And but to me, everything that happened with that guy in training camp and leading up to the season indicated that he wasn't going to play until like the second half of the season. And here they're getting him in the lineup as soon as they can. And he played very well. I guess the old Pro Football Focus had him as the 3rd best tackle on Sunday. So
yeah, he's played like 70 pass rush snaps. I want to say 1 pressure allowed.
Wow, that's a little improvement. We've had left tackles who didn't do quite that well.
No, well, including the one that played the first month and a half, Rashad.
Yeah, but I can't knock that guy. Can you? Rashad,
well, he's a backup. He signed up to be a backup. He's a backup.
He'll play everywhere. He'll give you.
He tries. He tries hard. It's great.
He's Everett Lindsay.
Give him a trophy, Pat.
Yeah. No, I mean, he doesn't.
Give him a button. Rashad Hill. I tried hard.
He doesn't get killed. He's not.
He's not supposed to play left tackle for 5 weeks. Like that's not what he signed on to do.
No, he's a nice backup guard, and he's out there playing left tackle. So, but if somebody gets hurt, you can get through a game without him. How about the poor Cleveland Browns? Our guy Stefanski, he doesn't have a team left. He's lost Kamara. He's lost Chubb might not play. They lost like 7-8. Beckman, who's hurt all the time.
What if Case Keenum? If they're playing Thursday night this week, I'm pretty sure, and Baker Mayfield is very questionable. If Case Keenum comes in and lights it up,
oh yes.
What do you do?
Yes. Now, I got to ask you guys. Now, we've all bashed Cousins, right? And and there was a little niche of people that were the Cousins crowd, right? There was always a bit of a Cousins crowd, a little niche of people. But now there's still that niche of people who don't believe, they still get mad when you suggest Kirk is playing lights out, right? It's a funny situation.
But what's worse is that the niche that gets mad that we're impressed. Don't be impressed now. Nothing's changed. I've gotten like 2 notes. Nothing's changed. He's the same exact guy. You just your narrative is now just changing, Judd.
I love it. Like up until this season, because like the biggest complaint was always, well, there's 2 big complaints, that he doesn't really play. He doesn't play well against winning teams. His record would indicate that. And he doesn't do well late in the fourth quarter when you need a comeback. He's been terrible at that. And we had to go fishing for, well, what about that Denver game that one time? It's like
but this time they boom, kick a field goal, you win, and then
he's been great. He's been great in those situations.
Overtime, they went down the field in about 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I still can't stand him personality wise, but that's okay. I've said, at least for a couple of years, he's not the reason you're going to lose. You can go as far as your talent will take you with him as your quarterback. He's not going to be Mahomes and say, climb on my back, boys. We're 2 touchdowns down at halftime and we're going to win by 20 points. He's not going to do that, but you can win with him.
I think to your point that he's not often the reason why you're going to lose. That's 100% true. And I think up until this year, when you're paying a guy the second most money to the cap and it affects that, it's like then you need him to be the reason why you win more often. And this year, if not for a missed field goal against the Cardinals, he did his job there. Mm-hmm. If not for a fumble by Dalvin, he did his job against Cincinnati. The Lions, everyone's like, the sky is falling. Kirk runs out there with 37 seconds left, drives you down, game-winning field goal. Carolina, same thing.
What I admire the most about him still today is when he was on the free agent market and teams wanted him, they said, how much do we have to guarantee? And he and his agent said, all of it.
Yeah.
He was the first guy to say 100%. You're giving it all to us. So I admire that about him, because that's the way it should be in this league. You should get a contract that should be 100%, but he and his agent are the only guys that ever did that. Now this time, when he re-signed, he didn't hold him to that. He doesn't have it all guaranteed this time.
It's pretty close though. So
he's still got a nice chunk on it.
Yeah. So the intriguing thing off of that point too is 6 games in, I think it's also clear that behind the scenes, the power struggle is being won by Kirk, right? Not Mike. So Pat, to your point, when Mike looks like his head is going to blow up and the pressure's on, previously I felt like they were both in the same boat of the fan base being ticked off at times. Now it feels like the pressure is on Mike and people are starting to embrace Kirk, which is a big win politically for Kirk.
Yeah, well, yeah, they have now. Hopefully, for his sake, he doesn't get close contact and not be able to play for 2 weeks. And boy, that'd start the whole thing all over again, right? But at this point, the plexiglass is working. The fact that he now takes his meetings inside a plexiglass.
They're meeting outside at midnight below the goalpost to discuss, and it's working fantastic. They're going to continue to do it,
but only for 45 minutes. Only for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. It's working. Working extremely well.
Do you guys think if the season ended today? And let's say, you're 3-3, maybe I think you'd be in the playoffs right now. But if the season ended today, I think it's likely that they would move on from Zimmer, keep Cousins and try and restructure his contract, keep Zimmer or keep Spielman and find a more offensive-minded coach.
Oh yeah, Spielman will survive. He's so wrapped around the Wilf boys that he's going to survive. He's got the bull slinging going, so he'll survive. I think Spielman would probably. I think the whole organization would like the 42-year-old doesn't say anything. Rah 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 us. It's all he doesn't. Zim hasn't had many explosions this year though, so. It looks like he's trying to keep from ripping his athletes when he doesn't like something. But I think the whole vibe is, they'd love to hire one of these young coaches, don't you think? I think they would.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually looked in college too, because I think they're going. I think the next thing is to look for a guy who is perceived as this, to your point, Pat, great offensive mind. Who has the personality of Rocco, basically.
Yeah. Well, now that the Timberwolves, the fine organization that they are, have servant leadership too, it's pretty important for the Vikings to join the servant leadership movement, right?
All right, explain this one. So, of the four of us here on the show, especially if it's between me, Judd, and Pat, I'm definitely the most like leadership culture guy of all of us.
Yes, right.
I need you to explain to me what servant leadership means.
I don't know, but I believe PJ said that, right? Didn't he say that early on?
Did he?
Servant
Because isn't this
player,
Gupta said this is his
hospital. Go visit hospitals, kids in hospitals. I guess I don't know if that's
so go to a hospital and on a Tuesday and you're a servant leader.
But this poor Gupta is quoted as saying he's into servant leadership the other day. Was that servant leadership when you were the number one guy backstabbing Reusse and Reusse? You know, I'm going to be a servant leader as soon as I take that knife out of this guy's back. It'll be
and lick the blood off the knife.
Come on. Don't you guys get it? It's all about the buzzwords, man. It's all about the buzzwords.
The buzzwords, man. Servant leadership goes way beyond culture, though. As a culture, everybody uses it. You got some Fulda Heron Lake Okabena 9-man football team. They got culture, right? You got culture. Everybody's got culture. But servant leadership, that one.
Do you know who doesn't have that?
Who?
Bill Guerin, which is why I like it. Bill Guerin, you can take your servant leadership and shove it.
That's right.
He wants an effing cup, not your servant.
Listen, you guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgey?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.
Yes.
Yeah, you take your hospital visit.
He's
hard work and
he's
having
the best.
fun, he said.
Hard work and having fun. Screw you.
You take your food drives.
When did that come from?
That's on the Becoming Wild team produced documentary. That's a team produced clip.
So they put that on that? Wow, that's pretty good.
By the way, I found I went to Google. I just typed in what is servant leadership. And there's a website called greenleaf.org that defines servant leadership as focusing primarily on the growth and well-being of people and the communities to which they belong. That is servant leadership.
Oh, hell, I've been a servant leader for decades.
Yeah, at JD Hoyt.
You didn't identify it correctly, Pat.
I used to bring in donuts in the morning, What the hell is it?
He brought me a Jimmy John's yesterday, Pat.
Jimmy, I brought Declan a servant leadership.
Yeah.
Called him. He didn't call me. I called him.
That's right.
Servant leadership. Let's do it.
Can you maybe servant some of those Monte Carlo wings at some point here? That'd be great.
By the way, Wild, no chance tonight. The Woodbury Jinx, my grandson Luke, will be in attendance. We're just hoping they get a goal because that would be unusual.
It's a new culture, Pat. It's a new culture. It's a new culture. Luke will thrive.
If they win, if they win with Luke in attendance, they're going to go to the Cup, baby. They're going to be playing for the Cup. But this kid has been amazing for his ability to bring defeat to the Wild.
Well, there he is, the Star Tribune servant leader, Patrick Reusse.
That's right. And Score North. Yes, don't forget my servant leadership to Score North. So.
For years and years. Yep. All right, Pat, we'll talk to you tomorrow. That's Rapping with Reusse here on Mackey and Judd and the Score North YouTube channel.